Kia ora, good evening. Police have today named the man killed yesterday morning when his vehicle collided with a concrete power pole on Lime Hills Browns Road. He was Stephen Zestraton, aged 24, from Centre Bush. Emergency services responded early yesterday morning after the Toyota Land Cruiser Mr Zestraton was driving crossed the centre lane and impacted with the concrete power pole before coming to rest in a ditch. Mr Zestraton was found deceased in the vehicle when emergency services arrived at the scene. The Southland region is now home to 2 gold medalists after securing a second gold at the Glasgow Commonwealth Games from Invercargill shooter Sally Johnston. Johnston hit her target, winning gold in the 50-metre prone rifle shooting and set a new tournament record of 620.7 points. Glasgow is Johnston's 4th Commonwealth Games appearance. She previously won bronze in the same event in Kuala Lumpur in 1998. The 44-year-old Invercargill-born Wellingtonian is yet to celebrate her success. Instead, she's preparing for her less favoured event, the 50-metre rifle 3 position, on Tuesday. It's getting harder and harder for Southlanders to avoid the fact that there is a general election in just over 50 days.
The party faithful have been busy erecting billboards for the 3 parties currently contesting the seat of Invercargill. The Greens are chasing the all-important party vote and are going for visual impact with their election hoardings. Labour candidate Leslie Soper says she sees the electoral billboards as an all-important part of the campaigning process and says she will be using a mix of images of her as the candidate and of leader David Cunliffe promoting the vote positive message. National are trading on the overwhelming popularity of the Prime Minister, the Team Key slogan well utilised throughout advertising materials. This hoarding featuring Mr Key came under attack in Bluff over the weekend. The Dowie camp say they have removed it and are unsure whether it will be replaced at this stage.
It's taken a fair bit of trial and error to create a clever device that picks up whatever phone network is working the best and transfers it into a usable network in the case of an emergency. Dubbed the Hedgehog, the portable device will ensure the phone lines stay open.
We knew that it would be beneficial for us to have a better phone capacity for an emergency. So I actually saw an article in an American emergency magazine, and it had a system not dissimilar to this in the back of a truck, and I thought, look, that sounds a lot like what we would actually want. So we spoke to some local providers and said, is this possible? And started working on some concepts from there, and a bit of to and froing to see what we could get design-wise, and we've come up with this. Yes, so we're very happy.
Can you explain some of the scenarios where this could be very useful?
Well, the scenarios could be that part of the phone system network is operating, the cellular network might be operating, but the copper lines might be disrupted, so we can use it in that type of scenario, but likewise we can use it if say fiber's working but the cellular network is compromised. And we can also take the system away to another location quite easily. We can plug normal phones in, we can plug the old style phone in, which doesn't actually need power, but we can go right through to plugging in a number of laptops in and running headsets off laptops and using it for a full call centre type capacity.
It is something that could be useful throughout other parts of the country too.
Yes, we've shared what we've learned along the way, and the fact that it's a product out there now with other emergency management people, and there is quite a bit of interest. I believe the Ministry of Health are looking at it seriously for their phone networks, so we'll be interested to see where it goes.
When you approached Voicecom about this product, what were their thoughts initially? How many goes have you had at getting it to something that's a viable product?
We probably had about half a dozen different goes, sort of saying, look, this is how emergencies quite often unfold, these are the types of things we need, can you do it? And of course they go away, do a bit of research, bit of trial and error, and come back to us.
And did they come up with any products or solutions that you guys hadn't thought about?
We hadn't really thought about the laptop side of things and having freely available software to run the phones, having a UPS system so it can actually operate for a short period of time with if the power goes down, which obviously can happen quite a bit. So those types of solutions were really good.
A recent report shows 41% of police detainees had been drinking prior to their arrest, and the number of drinks consumed has increased from 12 to 17 in the past 3 years. The latest New Zealand Arrestee Drug Use Monitoring Program report also shows in 2013 detainees had much higher levels of methamphetamine use than the general public, with a 3% increase since 2010. Police believe there's a close relationship between methamphetamine use and antisocial behaviour, and say the NZ survey provides a valuable snapshot of the relationship between alcohol and drugs and criminal offending. Survey participants were surveyed at 4 watch houses in major cities, and police say results document the harm of substance use and help identify the emergence of new drug types. Young people are being engaged online to encourage their interest in politics and voting via the website Vote Kiwi. Students can vote in polls, give feedback or initiate debate on any topic, giving young people the chance to express themselves. Creator David Seathouse says the medium would motivate self-learning, critical thinking and political engagement. Vote Kiwi allows respondents to let their views known in the run-up to election 2014 and enables users to initiate citizen-generated referendums. The website's been launched in Hamilton and will be rolled out across all secondary schools nationwide. Stay with us after the break. More from the parliamentary career of retiring MP for Invercargill, Eric Roy. Welcome back. More now from retiring MP for Invercargill, Eric Roy. Tonight, achievements in Parliament, ministerial aspirations and preparing for tomorrow's valedictory speech.
Firstly, let me just say this, that when you're part of an organisation, you do what you're asked to do to your best ability. And so my job has been as a presiding officer. So I haven't been a legislator. I've been facilitating the government to make decisions and to get legislation through in a neutral way, but I think with some competence about that. That's been my role. So if you're looking for probably the biggest highlight, it probably occurred in my first term, which was a total rewrite of the Fisheries Act, which it's kind of interesting the way that all happened, but and some things I did to sort of manage the decisions around the practical things in that bill. I did some quite unique things by calling in the protagonists which were opposed and under Chatham House rules, saying this is a position paper, and then flushing that stuff through the House when we're running out of time. And then last month, an international audit released of 53 countries' fishing systems. Remember that New Zealand was the first one to go to a sustainable quota management system. 53 countries, international audit, New Zealand, best managed, most sustainable. And so that was an international first, and it's come through and recognised as a significant method for managing fisheries and working. And I think that would be my legislative highlight. Yeah.
We don't want to take too much out of the valedictory
speech.
We don't want to mention that.
I'm going to talk about that because...
Do you feel
it's a funny thing though, Hunter. People say they want you to put a mark and say, this is what I did. And in actual fact, you're part of a team. And it's a bit like when I was playing rugby, they don't say, well, what did you do to win the game? They say, oh, the team went well. But in politics, it's the other way around. So what have you done while you're there? And I mean, I can tell you a whole lot of little things I did that become part of the matrix of what the government did. And so you play a team game.
Did you have ministerial ambitions firstly?
Oh, yeah, I think everybody does. And yeah, I did.
When I first arrived down here and started reporting on local government, people said that they felt that your illness had prevented that. Do you hold anything in that?
Well, I lost momentum twice, and the first time was my illness. The second time was my time out of government, and then we had totally new leadership that didn't know me. But you don't cry about that stuff. As I say, I've managed to be Deputy Speaker, and I think have been regarded as being pretty competent at that. And this year, the government did about 40 bills, more than it's ever done before, and I think that the presiding officers have had a part in that, again, the team play. But in actual fact, the demeanour that you bring into the House when you're presiding and chairing and being the Speaker has a big bearing on how stuff goes. And so I think I've done that stuff quite competently, and I think you would find most people would agree with that.
Okay, heading into the election, well, now let's talk about your valedictory speech firstly. Is it a toughie to compose?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that for nearly 12 years, I've advised, chastised and disciplined every member of the House while I've been sitting in that chair. And when I get up there's going to be over 100 pair of eyes. How's this guy going to go?
So the pressure's on.
The pressure's on, no pressure. And then it's a matter of really what you want to do, I guess, whether you want to tell war stories, be reflective, or some looking forward philosophically and motivationally. So I'm going to try and do a mix of that stuff and notch up some highlights. I'm going to try and be a bit humorous because I might get a bit emotional if I get too serious. So I've thought about it a bit more than I thought I would think about it. I normally just get up and talk and maybe have half a dozen words for headings, but I'm going to script it a bit so that I do give it some form. And so we'll see how that goes. Got about 15 or 20 minutes and it's going to be quite interesting.
Are you going to have anything to say about Parliament itself, the parliamentary process?
Yes, I will. I've thought about that, and I've got an issue there, so I'll raise that. I've got a couple of issues to raise, looking forward about where New Zealand should go, some historical stuff, a few funny stories that have happened, and just try to get that balance right.
This is the first election in a while. You're actually going to, I imagine you'll be at a party headquarters somewhere, but you'll be able to just sit back and watch things unfold. Is that an enjoyable prospect?
Yeah, well, yes, it is. Although I'm going to miss the campaigning, and I'm missing it already because bear in mind that my role as a speaker, I don't get to talk in the House. Very rarely. Sometimes I feel strongly about something, I'd notify the other presiding officers and absent myself from chairing anything that you talk on. Once a year,
no
maybe.
Conflicts of interest.
Well, it's about maintaining neutrality. And so if you take a partisan position on any bill, then you can't chair. It's a bit like being a referee and hanging up your whistle at halftime and joining one of the sides. It just doesn't work. So haven't been able to do that. And so I just love getting on those hustings and people asking you questions and the debate and the challenge. Yeah, I'm missing that already.
And we'll have the third and final part of our interview with retiring long-serving MP Eric Roy in tomorrow's South Today News. Weather is up next and sport follows from the news team. Good night.